Section 9.5 Rebellion in a Perfect Realm. Having now delved into the concept of the heavens with greater precision, I would like to bring closure to a topic I have alluded to repeatedly throughout this volume: the notion of a rebellion involving fallen beings within the heavenly realms. This idea introduces profound theological implications that demand a careful and nuanced analysis of both biblical texts and the intrinsic nature of heaven. If we accept that the third heaven represents a state of absolute perfection, it naturally raises the question: how could rebellion, such as that traditionally ascribed to Satan, arise from within its confines? Revelation 21:27, And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Passages such as this one in Revelation affirm that nothing impure will remain on earth once heaven descends to refine and restore creation. This reinforces the notion that, if there were a literal rebellion involving Satan and his subsequent fall, it could not have occurred within the perfect and unblemished realm of the third heaven, a domain where impurities cannot exist. Rather, if understood as a literal event, such a rebellion would likely have transpired in a different celestial sphere, perhaps the second heaven, a realm that aligns with the biblical depiction of spiritual warfare taking place within the heavenly realms. Ephesians 6:12, For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. As we observe from the passage, spiritual matters can be symbolically associated with rulers and those influenced by wicked spirits in positions of authority. For readers who favor a literal interpretation, it is worth considering that while there is no direct evidence for the existence of other dimensions or multiverses, certain theories suggest their plausibility. Such realms could, hypothetically, serve as the habitation of these rebellious beings. Nevertheless, the notion of rebellion recurring in heaven, whether in the heavenly realm above or within its earthly manifestation, raises profound questions. Scripture assures us that when God establishes the new heaven and new earth, all sin, death, and rebellion will be permanently eradicated. This promise rests upon the transformative power of God's ultimate judgment and redemption, ensuring that his eternal reign will remain wholly untainted by any trace of sin or defiance. The imperfections evident in the current cosmos, including the literal or figurative rebellion of Satan, pertain to a temporal reality rather than the eternal state of divine perfection. Thus, the assurance of God's ultimate victory nullifies the possibility of repeated rebellion in the new creation. The reason I take issue with the notion of rebellion occurring within the perfect realm of heaven is that it implies an angel, standing in God's perfect presence, could defile that realm and then carry that defilement to earth unopposed. If one subscribes to the belief that the Nephilim are the offspring of these fallen angels, further theological complexities arise. Why would celestial beings, created in a realm of perfection, possess sexual drives or reproductive capacities, especially given the traditional view that angels are male? This suggests a theological inconsistency, for it would imply that God created beings in a realm of perfection with a reproductive capacity they could not fulfill, a stark contrast to the command given to humanity and other creatures to be fruitful and multiply. If such a grievous act were committed in the third heaven, it raises another significant question. Why would Satan, after his rebellion, still have access to the heavenly realm? For instance, the opening chapter of the book of Job is often interpreted as depicting Satan appearing in a heavenly courtroom to accuse humanity. To be fair to those who support a literal view of these events, it could be argued that the heaven Satan accessed in Job is not synonymous with the third heaven, where God's direct and perfect presence resides. Rather, it may refer to a judicial or administrative aspect of the heavenly realms, where divine counsel is assembled, and decisions regarding the governance of the earthly realm are deliberated. In this context, Satan's eventual expulsion from this judicial or administrative realm, as described in Revelation, would signify Christ's triumph. This expulsion would permanently nullify Satan's capacity to accuse humanity before God, marking the definitive end of his influence over the spiritual and moral affairs of creation. Nevertheless, it is important to recognize that these interpretations remain speculative. The passage in Job does not explicitly state the exact nature or location of this encounter, leaving the matter open to theological inquiry and debate. This is why I argue that understanding the term, Shamayim, as encompassing multiple layers of meaning, observable heavens, celestial realms, and the third heaven, clarifies many biblical passages referencing heaven. I caution readers against the view that Satan's rebellion could have taken place in the perfect realm of heaven, as this would imply that God is not fully sovereign over his own kingdom. If Satan's rebellion was indeed a literal event, it most likely occurred in a celestial sphere distinct from God's perfect presence, aligning with the symbolic depiction of spiritual conflict in Scripture. Ultimately, I hold that the third heaven, as described in Scripture, remains untouched by sin or rebellion. This untainted perfection underscores its status as the ultimate destination of humanity's redemption, where God's reign is fully manifest, and all impurities are eternally excluded.